Chapter 610. I'm afraid this battle will be the most influential one in the past 20 years. Yan Fengfeng and Yi Qin and Hai Weiyao were from the same sect, so they naturally brought the disciples of the mysterious martial school to this small hill. Hai Weiyao nodded. 5 years ago, the battle between Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chuhe was not this popular. But it is also because of that battle that it has brought about such a big scene today. Lu Xiaoyu was the leader of the top 3 young warriors, and also one of the top 5 young warriors. Although there were a lot of people watching the battle between him and Xiao Chuhe, it was not as big as today. But after Xiao Chuhe had lost to Lu Xiaoyu, he had trained hard for 3 years, and his power had already reached an immeasurable level. He had even beaten Xin Qianling, one of the top 3 blade artists, which had made the older generation of master-level warriors realize that the top 5 young warriors were not as simple as they thought. If they did not pay attention to them, then they might be beaten by the top 5 young warriors one by one. Therefore, the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxue had caused such a big commotion. Looking at the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors that could be seen everywhere, Yi Qin could not help but shake his head. Among the older generation, not to mention master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors, even spirit realm warriors would be hard to find. In fact, even normal Sea of Souls realm warriors would be extremely rare in the South Ridra region. The top 6 rank 6 martial institutions would each have 7 to 8 Sea of Souls realm warriors, which would be around 50 in total. The Morong family had a bit more Sea of Souls realm warriors, around 30 of them. Adding some of the Sea of Souls realm warriors who did not belong to any martial institutions, there would be at least 100 or 200 of them. Of course, there were also some Sea of Souls realm warriors who were out all the time and did not return to the South Ridra region. Morong Qingcheng was obviously thinking the same thing as Yi Qin. She frowned slightly, a helpless look in her eyes. South Ridra region, Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian have both reached the Sea of Souls realm. Morong Qingcheng said, I think it's about time for me to advance. Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian were the top martial geniuses of the whole South Ridra region after all. Plus, they were not that young anymore, being almost 30 years old. Of course, one could not forget about one person, which was Si Gongsheng. Thinking about it, Si Gongsheng had a high chance of reaching the Sea of Souls realm. In the afternoon, the number of people who had arrived at the Nine-Dragon Lake had reached a new high, tens of thousands of people. Most of them were Sea of Souls realm warriors, and master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had reached an unprecedented 600. Perhaps, this number would not be broken for a long time, because almost all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had arrived. Look, it's Dantai Mingyue. In the sky, a graceful woman in a red dress flew over on a big bird with 5 colored feathers. Like Morong Qingcheng, the woman's face was covered with a veil. However, this veil was not black, but red. Dantai Mingyue came alone and landed on a huge tree. On top of the cliff, Duguju, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and looked at Dantai Mingyue. The battling intent in his eyes was not hidden at all. The top 3 martial geniuses are all here. It seems like they have the same cultivation, all at peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm. Judging from the results so far, Yi Qin is slightly more powerful. Duguju and Dantai Mingyue have not done anything in the past 2 years. It is true that Dantai Mingyue has not done anything yet. Duguju had beaten Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters, a couple of months ago. He has already made it into the top of the young warriors. I wonder if the top 3 martial geniuses will compete with each other? I don't think so. It is not the right time yet, and it would be pointless. Just like the top 5 young warriors, once they make a move, the whole world will be shocked. With the gathering of the top 3 martial geniuses, the atmosphere in the Nine-Dragon Lake was heated up again. Perhaps with the top 5 young warriors in power, the top 3 martial geniuses would not be able to compete with them yet. But as time went on, most of the people thought that the top 3 martial geniuses would definitely challenge the top 5 young warriors and replace their positions. But the condition was that they would have to improve fast enough. Shoo! A beam of sword light shot over from afar, its sharp sword chi shooting into the sky. Before the person had even arrived, the wind and clouds had already started to change, as if it was not a human but a great sword. It was indeed Tai Shi-chong. It seems like he has successfully reached the late sea of Soul's realm. His power has improved quite a bit. Yi-chen could tell with one glance that Tai Shi-chong was at the late sea of Soul's realm right now. His Zhen Yuan was as rich as the ocean, and his qi was extremely powerful. Of course, the improvement in his cultivation was still not that big of a deal. What was worth mentioning was that every time a Sea of Soul's realm warrior made a breakthrough, there would be a temporary state of being one with the world. According to the warrior's comprehensive ability, they would be able to gain different levels of comprehension. It was because of this state that Yi-chen had managed to train his gold resonant radiance sword art to 130%. After that, he created his gold pattern, which was also influenced by the state, since creating a mid-rank profound sense martial art would require a certain level of comprehension. Dugaju, do you dare to challenge me? Once he appeared, Tai Shi-chong stared at Dugaju, who was training with his eyes closed, and yelled, "What? Tai Shi-chong wants to challenge Dugaju?
What is so strange about that?"
Tai Shi-chong's power had increased a lot, so of course, he would want to win back his pride and beat Dugaju. I wonder if Dugaju would accept the challenge. Everyone's gazes landed on Dugaju. Dugaju opened his eyes again and looked at Tai Shi-chong coldly. "It seems like you are quite confident that you can beat me. Cut the crap. Do you dare to challenge me?" Tai Shi-chong's eyes were sharp. Standing up slowly, Dugaju said, "Why not? All right, you and I will battle in the lake." Tai Shi-chong flew toward the center of the lake.
Shoo!
With a slight movement of his body, Dugaju shot out like a peerless blade. I did not expect the two to battle again. Haiwea stared at the center of the lake. "Dugaju, take this." Stepping on the surface of the lake, Tai Shi-chong and Dugaju started to battle. All of a sudden, the blade light and the sword shadows were everywhere, and the lake water was separated by the two from time to time. This battle lasted for a whole 300 attacks. Within those 300 attacks, the two had performed their most powerful attacks one after another. It was not hard to tell that Dugaju did not have the advantage like the first time, and Tai Shi-chong, who had improved a lot, was not able to suppress Dugaju like he had expected. Despair Blade. Finally, Dugaju was forced to use his ace attack. Within that white rainbow-like blade light, all living beings' shadows appeared on it, and the despair chi spread out in the air. "Dugaju, if this is all you have, then this time, you will lose for sure." Tai Shi-chong's body jumped into the air, stabbing out toward that white rainbow-like blade light. That sword attack gave people the illusion that it was unstoppable, as if it was a sword attack coming down from the sky. A more complete heaven and earth sword. Yi-chen's pupils shrank. Back then, Tai Shi-chong's usual attack was the heaven and earth sword finger art. Heaven and earth represented the earth, which was the profound of the earth, carrying all living beings. The sky was replaced by the profound of water. However, back then, Tai Shi-chong's heaven and earth sword was just a rough combination of the profound of the earth and the profound of water. But right now, the two had a deeper connection, and that sword attack was like the judgment of the sky sword. Right now, Tai Shi-chong's power was no weaker than Lin Tian's.
Pooh!
Dugaju could not handle that sword attack, and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Dugaju lost? Everyone gasped. Dan Tai Minghua looked very calm, not moving at all. "Dugaju, you have lost." After successfully beating Dugaju, a curve appeared on Tai Shi-chong's face. Wiping away the blood from his mouth, Dugaju lifted up his head and said, "Really? I do not think that I will beat you with only one blade attack." Arrogant. Hearing him, Tai Shi-chong frowned. He thought that Dugaju was just being stubborn. "Whether I am arrogant or not, you will find out soon. Take my real despairing blade attack." As he spoke, Duguju's aura changed drastically. His whole body sank into a despairing aura, and from that despairing aura came a horrifying power. It was extremely evil, turning Duguju into an evil spirit, an evil demon wrapped in despair.
Ha!
The sound of the long blades slicing through the air was heard. It was an extremely horrifying sound. It was actually a twisted laughter. Once the person heard the laughter, his face turned pale, and his body started to twitch uncontrollably. It seemed like he had encountered something that made him feel hopeless. One of the top 5 young warriors, Xiao Chua, who had been watching calmly, frowned. There were not many things that could make him frown. Sword Master Lu Xiaoyu also looked like he was thinking about something.
Swoosh.
Facing this blade attack, Tai Shichong could not react at all and was blown away, falling into a coma. Soon, a couple of people who were close to Tai Shichong helped him to the corner and stared at Duguju with a pale face. They could not imagine how Duguju could become this horrifying all of a sudden.
Dong.
What happened next shocked everyone even more. They saw Duguju slap his palm on his forehead, making a loud sound. Then, his whole body seemed to have returned to normal, but his face was even paler. It seemed like he had used up a lot of mental energy. Strange. His whole body has sunk into the despairing aura, as if he is using the despairing aura to increase his power. Yi Chen studied Duguju, who was still meditating with his eyes closed. I did not expect Duguju to be this horrifying. It seems like we have underestimated him.
Yeah.
Even if Tai Shichong is not as powerful as Lin Tian, he is not that far off. But he still could not take one blade attack from Duguju. But Duguju does not look that good either. He must have used a power that he could not control. Everyone was a bit surprised by this result. This Duguju is so powerful. I would like to see it for myself. But he is not in his best condition right now. I am afraid that he will not be able to take one attack from me. Inside a pavilion next to the lake, an evil-looking young man with a face as white as powder waved his fan and said lightly, Lan Xiecheng, you had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian back then. Do you want to battle with him again? Someone standing right next to him said. The young man who was called Lan Xiecheng shook his head. Before that, I might have been interested in battling with him. But, unfortunately, he had lost to a young brat. Challenging him is not what I want. Anyway, I will go challenge Yi Chen and see what kind of power he has to beat Lin Tian. As he spoke, the evil-looking young man stood up and looked at where Yi Chen was, yelling, Yi Chen, do you dare to take 10 attacks from me? It is the evil child Lan Xiecheng. He wants to challenge Yi Chen. Before one wave had subsided, another wave arose. Everyone's attention was drawn over. Lan Xiecheng. Duguju opened his eyes tiredly. 2 years ago, he had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian. Today, he is going to challenge Yi Chen, who had beaten Lin Tian before. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone says that Yi Chen is very powerful, but I do not even know what is so powerful about him. Is it because Lin Tian has fallen, or is it because Yi Chen is really powerful? Perhaps we will find out now. Chapter 611. I'm afraid this battle will be the most influential one in the past 20 years. Yan Fengfeng and Yi Chen and Hai Weiyao were from the same sect, so they naturally brought the disciples of the mysterious martial school to this small mountain. Hai Weiyao nodded. 5 years ago, the battle between Sword Master Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chua was not this popular. But it is also because of that battle that we are able to have such a grand occasion today. Lu Xiaoyu was the leader of the top 3 young sword masters, and also one of the top 5 young warriors. Although there were a lot of people watching the battle between him and Xiao Chua, it was not as big as today. But after Xiao Chua had lost to Lu Xiaoyu, he had trained hard for 3 years, and his power had reached an unfathomable level. He had even beaten Xin Qianling, one of the top 3 blade master-level warriors, which had made the older generation of master-level warriors realize that the top 5 young warriors were not as simple as they had thought. If they did not take it seriously, then they might be beaten by the top 5 young warriors one by one in the future. Therefore, the battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxiue had caused such a huge commotion. Looking at the Sea of Souls realm warriors that could be seen everywhere, Yi Chen could not help but shake his head. Among the older generation warriors, not to mention master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors, even spirit warriors were rare. In fact, Even normal Sea of Souls realm warriors were extremely rare in the whole South Rudra region. The top 6 rank 6 martial institutions would each have 7 to 8 Sea of Souls realm warriors, which would be around 50 in total. The Morong family had more Sea of Souls realm warriors, around 30 of them. Adding some of the Sea of Souls realm warriors who did not belong to any martial institutions, there would be around 1 to 200 of them. Of course, there might be some Sea of Souls realm warriors who stayed outside all the time and did not come back to the South Rudra region. But overall, the overall power of the South Rudra region was indeed extremely weak. Morong Qingcheng was obviously thinking the same thing as Yichen. She frowned slightly, a helpless look in her eyes. South Rudra region, Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian have both reached the Sea of Souls realm. Morong Qingcheng said, I think it is about time for them to make it. Yan Qihua and Li Daoxian were the top martial geniuses of the South Rudra region after all. Plus, they were not that young anymore, being close to 30 years old. Of course, one could not forget about one person, which was Sikong Sheng. Thinking about it, the possibility of Sikong Sheng reaching the Sea of Souls realm was quite high. In the afternoon, the number of people arriving at the Nine-Dragon Lake reached a new high. There were tens of thousands of people, most of whom were Sea of Souls realm warriors. There were more than 600 master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Perhaps this number would not break through for a long time, because almost all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors had arrived. Look!
It is Dantai Mingyue.
In the sky, a beautiful woman in a red dress flew over while riding on a huge bird with 5 colored feathers. She was just like Morong Qingcheng, with a light veil covering her face. However, it was not black but red. Dantai Mingyue came alone and landed on a towering tree. On top of the cliff, Du Gujue, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and looked at Dantai Mingyue. The battling intent in his eyes was not hidden at all. The top 3 martial geniuses are all here. It seems like their cultivation is the same, all at peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm. Judging from the results so far, Yichen is slightly more powerful. Du Gujue and Dantai Mingyue have not made any moves in the past 2 years. It is true that Dantai Mingyue has not made any moves, but Du Gujue had beaten Tai Shicheng, one of the top young warriors, a couple of months ago. He has already reached the top of the young warriors. I wonder if the top 3 martial geniuses will compete with each other? I don't think so. It is not the right time yet, and it would be pointless. Just like the top 5 young warriors, once they make their moves, the whole world will be shocked. The gathering of the top 3 martial geniuses had made the atmosphere in the Nine-Dragon Lake a lot more intense. Perhaps right now, with the top 5 young warriors in power, the top 3 martial geniuses would not be able to compete with them yet. But as time went on, most of the people thought that the top 3 martial geniuses would definitely challenge the top 5 young warriors and replace their positions. However, the condition was that they would have to improve fast enough. Shoo! A beam of sword light shot over from afar, its sword chi shooting into the sky. Before the person had even arrived, the wind and clouds had already started to change, as if it was not a human but a great sword. It was indeed Tai Shicheng. It seems like he has successfully reached the late Sea of Souls realm. His power has improved quite a bit. Yichen could tell with a glance that Tai Shicheng was at the late Sea of Souls realm right now. His Zhen Yuan was as rich as the ocean, and his qi was extremely powerful. Of course, the improvement in his cultivation was not that big of a deal. What was worth mentioning was that every time a Sea of Souls realm warrior made a breakthrough, there would be a temporary state of being one with the world. It was because of this state that Yichen had managed to train his gold resonant radiance sword art to 130%. After that, he had created his gold pattern, which was also influenced by the state of being one with the world. After all, creating a mid-rank profound sense martial art would require a certain level of comprehension. Du Gujue, do you dare to battle? Once he appeared, Tai Shicheng stared at Du Gujue, who was sitting in meditation with his eyes closed, and yelled, "What? Tai Shicheng wants to challenge Du Gujue?"
What is so strange about that?
Tai Shicheng's power had increased a lot, so of course, He would want to win back his dignity and beat Du Gujue. I wonder if he would accept the challenge or not. Everyone's gaze landed on Du Gujue. Du Gujue opened his eyes again and looked at Tai Shicheng coldly. It seems like you are quite confident that you can beat me. Cut the bullshit. Do you dare to battle? Tai Shicheng's eyes were sharp. Slowly standing up, Du Gujue said, "Why not? All right, you and I will battle in the lake." Tai Shicheng flew toward the center of the lake. Shoo! His body flashed once, and Du Gujue shot out like a deadly blade. I did not expect the two to battle again. Haiwia stared at the center of the lake. Du Gujue, take this. Stepping on the lake water, Tai Shicheng and Du Gujue started to battle. All of a sudden, the blade light and the sword shadow spread out everywhere, and the lake water was split apart by the two. This battle lasted for a whole 300 attacks. Within those 300 attacks, the two had performed their most powerful attacks one after another. It was not hard to tell that Du Gujue did not have the upper hand like the first time, and Tai Shicheng, whose power had increased drastically, was not able to suppress Du Gujue like he had expected. Despair Blade. Finally, Du Gujue was forced to use his ace attack. Within that white rainbow-like blade light, the images of all living beings appeared on it, and the despair chi spread out everywhere. Du Gujue, if you only have this one attack, then you will lose for sure this time. Tai Shicheng's body jumped into the air as he stabbed out a sword attack toward that white rainbow-like blade light. That sword attack gave people the illusion that it was unstoppable, as if it was a sword attack coming down from the sky. A more complete natural sword. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. That day, Tai Shicheng's usual attack was a natural sword finger art. Heaven and earth represented the earth, which was also the profound of earth, carrying everything. Sky was replaced by the profound of water. However, back then, Tai Shicheng's natural sword was just a rough combination of the profound of earth and water. But right now, the two seemed to have reached a deeper level. That sword attack seemed to be the judgment of the sky's sword. Right now, Tai Shicheng's power was no weaker than Lin Tian's.
Pooh.
Du Gujue could not handle that sword attack, and blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth. Du Gujue lost? Everyone gasped. Dantai Minghua looked calm, not moving at all. Du Gujue, you have lost. After successfully beating Du Gujue, a smile appeared on Tai Shicheng's face. Wiping the blood off his mouth, Du Gujue lifted up his eyes and said, "Oh yeah? I don't think I will beat you with one blade attack." Arrogant. Hearing him, Tai Shicheng frowned. He thought that Du Gujue was just being stubborn. "Whether I am arrogant or not, you will know soon enough. Take my true despairing blade attack." As he spoke, Du Gujue's aura changed drastically. His whole body sank into a despairing aura, and from that despairing aura, a horrifying power was born. This power was extremely evil, turning Du Gujue into an evil spirit wrapped in despair. The sound of the long blade slicing through the air was heard. It was an extremely horrifying sound. It was actually a twisted laughter. Once the person heard it, his face turned pale, and his body started to twitch uncontrollably. It seemed like he had encountered something that made him feel hopeless. One of the top 5 young warriors, Xiao Chua, who had been watching the whole time, frowned. There were not many things that could make him frown. The sword master Lu Xiaoyu also seemed to be thinking about something.
Swoosh.
Facing this blade attack, Tai Shicheng could not react at all and was blown away, falling into a coma. Soon, a couple of people who were close to Tai Shicheng helped him to the corner and stared at Du Gujue with pale faces. They could not imagine how Du Gujue had become this horrifying all of a sudden.
Dong.
What happened next shocked everyone even more. They saw Du Gujue slap on his forehead, making a loud sound. Then his whole body seemed to return to normal. However, his face was even paler, as if he had used up a lot of mental energy. Strange. His whole body has fallen into a despairing aura, as if he is trying to get more power out of it. Yi Chen studied Du Gujue, who was still meditating with his eyes closed. I did not expect Du Gujue to be this powerful. It seems like we have underestimated him.
Yeah.
Even if Tai Shicheng's power is not as powerful as Lin Tian's, it should not be too far off. But he still could not take one blade attack from Du Gujue. But Du Gujue does not look that good either. He must have used some power that he could not control. Everyone was a bit surprised by this result. This Du Gujue is so powerful. I would like to see him for myself. But he is not in his best condition right now. I am afraid he would not be able to take one attack from me. In a pavilion next to the lake, an evil-looking young man with a face as white as powder waved his fan and said lightly, "Lan Xiecheng, you had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian back then. Why don't you spar with him again?" Someone beside him said. The young man called Lan Xiecheng shook his head. Before that, I might have been interested in fighting with him once. Unfortunately, he lost, and to a brat who has just come out of nowhere. Challenging him is not what I want. Fine, I will go challenge Yichen. Let's see what he has to beat Lin Tian. As he spoke, the evil-looking young man stood up and looked in Yi Chen's direction, yelling, "Yi Chen, do you dare to take 10 attacks from me?" It is Lan Xiecheng. He wants to challenge Yi Chen. Before one wave had subsided, another wave arose. Everyone's attention was drawn over. Lan Xiecheng. Du Gujue opened his eyes tiredly. 2 years ago, he had the upper hand in the battle with Lin Tian. Today, he wants to challenge Yi Chen, who had beaten Lin Tian. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone says that Yi Chen is powerful, but I don't even know how powerful he is. Is it because Lin Tian has fallen, or is it because Yi Chen is really powerful? Perhaps we will find out now. Chapter 612. The sky soon darkened, and the stars shone brightly in the night sky. The Nine-Dragon Lake was not as busy as during the day, but it was not quiet either. 4 Sea of Souls realm warriors. Not sleeping for a couple of days was as simple as eating and drinking. It would not affect their mental state at all. Of course, at night, no one would make a fuss and ruin the peaceful atmosphere. They were all chatting with people they could talk to. On top of a small hill, a well-designed wooden house stood there. There were a lot of cracks that could not be seen with naked eyes, seeming like it could be dismantled at any time. It was about the size of a normal family's living room, more than enough to hold dozens of people. Inside the house, Yi Chen and the rest were drinking tea and chatting. "Brother Yi, this puppet house of yours is indeed a rare item. It should still be able to activate the protective layer, right?" Haiwia studied the interior of the house and could not help but be amazed by the skills of the puppet school. Yan Fengfeng's flying ship, Yi Chen's flying puppet, and the puppet house were all the works of the school. It was not hard to imagine how prosperous the school must have been back in the day. Yi Chen chuckled, just a small toy. This puppet house was obtained by him and the second disciple of the floating snow martial school when they entered the ruins of the puppet school. It would not be good for battling or defending, but it was very convenient. Sister Morong Qingcheng, the qi on your body seems to be different from normal demi-demons. Yan Fengfeng sipped on the tea and said to Morong Qingcheng. She called Yi Chen brother disciple, so naturally, she would call Morong Qingcheng sister disciple as well. Morong Qingcheng said, "My path is different from normal demi-demons. I train demon power." No wonder. Yan Fengfeng was not too surprised. Morong Qingcheng had the perfect demi-demon bloodline, so she had 2 choices. One was to train Jin Yuan, and the other was demon power. Normal demi-demons could only train Jin Yuan and could not train the more powerful demon power. But demon power was not good either, since it was very rare on this true spirit continent. Even the pellets that were suitable for human warriors could not be used, and it would be very hard for them to make a breakthrough. She should have had some kind of special experience to be able to train to mid-Sea of Souls realm. It was getting deeper into the night, but no one wanted to sleep. They chatted while waiting for the day to come. A red sun slowly rose, and the 9 Dragons Lake was dyed golden red, sparkling under the light. The spectators, who hadn't slept the whole night, were stirred up spontaneously and looked forward to the match. The battle between Xia Hozuan and Bai Wuxue is today, but I do not know what time it is. It is so hard to wait. There's no rush. We've already waited for few days. Why would we care about a few more days? Xiaohozuan's door is closer to the Nine-Dragon Mountain, so it should be him who got there first. Someone guessed. Outside the wooden house, Yichen put away the puppet house and stood side by side with Morong Qingcheng at the edge of the mountain peak, bathing in the golden-red sunlight of the morning sun.
He's here.
Morong Qingcheng's eyesight was very good, and it seemed that only Yan Fengfeng, who was a blue phoenix, could compete with her. It's Bai Wuxue. Yichen looked over and saw a white figure drifting over from the horizon. Shoo! Bai Wuxue's speed was extremely fast, and it only took him a couple of breaths to arrive at the Nine-Dragon Mountain. He landed on one of the steep peaks. He was wearing white robes that were embroidered with plums, orchids, bamboo, and chrysanthemums. He looked very handsome, and there was no trace of impatience on his face. Bai Wuxue, I did not expect you to be here before Xiaohozuan. Xiao Chua, who was also one of the top 5 young warriors, opened his eyes and said. Bai Wuxue said lightly, I always like to be one step ahead of my opponents. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I hope that your battle with Xiaohozuan will give me some inspiration. As he said the second sentence, Xiao Chua closed his eyes again, standing there with his arms crossed. Bai Wuxue looked away from Xiao Chua and exchanged a look with the sword master, Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu looked very calm and did not say anything. Right now, Bai Wuxue is here, and Xiaohozuan will be here as well. But isn't there still one more of the top 5 young warriors? Why is he not here yet? The top young warriors present were Bai Wuxue, Lu Xiaoyu, Xiao Chua, and Xiaohozuan. There were 4 of them in total, so there was still one more to go. Speaking of which, I do not think I have seen that one before. I heard that it is a girl. How could we have seen her before? The last top young warrior had been recognized by all 4 of them. Otherwise, why would the 4 of them recognize her? Yeah, to be able to make the 4 of them recognize her, she must have the same power as them. Yichen asked Yan Fengfeng, Sister Yan, do you know about the 5th top young warrior? Yan Fengfeng shook her head. I have seen her once, but I do not know anything about her background. I only know that people call her the godly shark princess. If I have guessed it right, she should be a beast as well. Godly shark princess? Yichen shook his head, thinking that it was indeed mysterious. After waiting for a while, a golden figure finally appeared in the southwest direction. Before the person had even arrived, that aggressive aura had already spread out. Xiaohozuan. Xiaohozuan is here. Finally. This aura. It is so powerful that people would not even have the thought of fighting back. That aggressive aura. Xiaohozuan is indeed Xiaohozuan. The heated atmosphere seemed to be contagious as it covered the entire lake within a second. Yichen and Morong Qingcheng exchanged a look. They felt like they were looking at another Chu Zhongtian. But of course, Xiaohozuan's aura was not something that Chu Zhongtian could compare with, since one was one of the top 5 young warriors while the other was only famous in the southern region. Bai Wuxue, you are still the same. Xiaohozuan laughed out loud. A gold light flashed once as he stood on top of the water in the middle of the lake. His body was filled with an aura of dominance. The lake water started to ripple with him as the center, spreading out in all directions, as if he was the center of the whole world. Xiaohozuan's body was extremely huge, with broad shoulders and long legs. He was wearing a bright gold robe with a gold crown on his head. His eyebrows were very long, reaching all the way to his temples. His eyes were like a pair of cold stars in the night sky, shining brightly. I wonder how Chu Zhongtian would feel after coming here. Morong Qingcheng could not help but ask. Yichen said, do not underestimate Chu Zhongtian. Regardless, he has the evil spirit body. Once his cultivation catches up, no one would dare to say that they would be able to win against him. Yichen would never underestimate Chu Zhongtian. Judging solely on physical talent, he had not seen anyone who could surpass him. There was not even anyone who could match him. As for whether or not he would meet someone like that in the future, it would still be unknown. On top of the steep mountain, Bai Wuxue said, you are still the same. Cut the bullshit. Let's have 1,000 attacks first. Xia Hozuan did not wait for Bai Wuxue to get down as he lifted up his right index finger and pointed out.
Boom.
The mountain under Bai Wuxue's feet suddenly exploded like a goddess, scattering flowers. Then, countless rocks of various sizes shot out with Bai Wuxue as the center. It was like this finger had created a huge gravitational field around Bai Wuxue.
Break.
Bai Wuxue waved his right hand, and all of the rocks in front of him turned into dust. Then, he jumped out and arrived in front of Xia Hozuan, throwing out a palm attack.
Boom.
That palm attack was like the palm of a giant spirit, and a massive palm print appeared on the surface of the lake. The scariest thing was that the lake seemed to have been solidified. The palm print was imprinted on the surface, and the patterns could be seen clearly.
Point at the sky.
Xia Hozuan laughed as he drew a circle around his body with his index finger. The space pattern started to vibrate in a regular pattern, forming a twisted defensive layer. The defensive layer had taken on Bai Wuxue's palm attack and shattered instantly. However, it did not hurt Xia Hozuan at all. Su King Finger. Using the defensive layer to block out Bai Wuxue's palm attack, Xia Hozuan attacked back aggressively. He pointed out his finger, and a king warrior shadow appeared behind him, pointing out toward Bai Wuxue as well. Qi Wave 100 Sky. Bai Wuxue suddenly landed on the lake surface, stepping on the solidified lake water. His left hand was placed in front of his chest while his right hand was straightened in the air. His 5 fingers opened slightly, welcoming Xia Hozuan's finger power.
Boom. Boom. Boom.
The 9-Dragon Lake was dozens of miles wide. As the two clashed head-on, the solidified lake surface started to move up and down. In the end, thousands of water columns exploded out, each of which was dozens of meters thick and thousands of meters tall. The water level of the lake had dropped by 200 meters. Too heaven-defying. Every move is unstoppable. Top 5 young warriors. They are indeed a bunch of monsters. Everyone held their breaths as their faces turned red. Powerful. So powerful. So powerful. Haiwia said it 3 times in a row. He could guarantee that, not to mention battling with them, he would not even be able to handle the aftershock of their attacks. This was the power of the top 5 young warriors. Each of them were the top warriors among the young warriors, and the others could only look up to them. Taking a deep breath, Yichen said lightly, "Right now, they are still testing each other. They are all using the profound sense martial arts from before. Of course, it would be best if the profound sense martial arts were created by oneself, because if it was created by oneself, one would be able to feel more and would be able to bring out its power to its extreme. I really would not know if I did not see it. Now that I have seen it, I am shocked." As one of the top 3 blade art master-level warriors, Lin Chaonan was indeed shocked. Although his power was slightly higher than Xin Qianling, and he had improved a lot in the past 2 years, he still did not have the confidence to fight against either Bai Wuxue or Xia Hozuan. Xia Baiting nodded. Just their power right now is not something to be underestimated. Wait until they use all of their power. I am afraid that even I will have to pay attention to them. Being able to make Xia Baiting say that he would pay attention to them would be rare. It had been decades since Xia Baiting had been the #1 blade art master-level warrior in the world, and no one had ever been able to take him down. Top 5 young warriors. Dugu Ju sat on the rock with his legs crossed, his eyes shining brightly. He did not look like he was injured at all, but it was not hard to tell how excited he was. In the middle of the lake, Bai Wuxue and Xia Hozuan had already exchanged hundreds of attacks. Neither of them could do anything to the other, because each of their attacks had reached the pinnacle of speed, power, technique, and spirit light flash. Even normal attacks could be turned into a deadly attack in their hands, catching their enemies off guard. 800 attacks. 900 attacks. 1,000 attacks. Indeed, if I do not risk my life, I will not be able to win against you. A gold mist rose up from Xia Hozuan's body, which was caused by his intense qi and blood circulation. The space outside of Bai Wuxue's body started to blur as he said lightly, "Let's do our best." Chapter 613. If there was no winner, then this battle would be meaningless for them. Since they had chosen to battle, then they would have to have a winner. They're going all out now. Hearing the conversation between the two, everyone watching could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They wondered how horrifying it would be once the two used all of their power.
Dong.
The lake water caved in as Bai Wuxiue and Xia Hozun battled again. Compared to before, this time, the two had pushed their power to its limit, not caring about their Zhenyuan consumption anymore. The two had made it clear that they would not use pellets to replenish their Zhenyuan during the battle. Bai Wuxiue, take my shooting star finger. Xia Hozun flew into the air as both of his fingers flicked in the air. Countless massive shooting star finger power shot out like a meteor shower. Grafting. Bai Wuxiue did not back out at all as he pushed his Zhenyuan to its limit. Eventually, a massive ancient tree appeared outside of his body. It was crystal green, looking like it was made out of diamonds. Countless branches reached out like an umbrella.
Pap. Pap. Pap.
Xia Hozun's shooting star finger power had just touched the Zhenyuan ancient tree when it was sucked over, turning into the fruits on the tree. All of a sudden, the tree was full of fruits. Gasp! The sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard everywhere. This was the first time that the crowd had seen someone else's attack turn into his own profound martial skill. At this moment, Bai Wuxiue was even more unfathomable in their eyes. Some of the older generation grandmasters who thought highly of themselves could not help but change their expressions.
Ting.
The great blades and swords on Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chua's waists started to vibrate slightly, making a crisp sound. It was because they could not control their own battling intent, causing the great blades and swords to sense it, wanting to get out of their scabbards and attack Bai Wuxiue and Xia Hozun. Bai Wuxiue, you are indeed special. Xiao Chua's eyes were bright like blades as he stared at Bai Wuxiue in the middle of the lake. Although Xia Hozun was powerful, judging from the situation, he was obviously not as powerful as Bai Wuxiue. You are qualified to be my next opponent. Lu Xiaoyu let out a breath and said lightly. On top of the hill, Yi Chun and the rest looked extra serious and shocked. Amazing! He can actually use the wood profound to such a level. Yi Chun was also proficient in the wood profound. However, it was clear that Bai Wuxiue had left him far behind in this aspect. Seeing that his shooting star finger art had become the fruit on the ancient tree, Xia Hozun could not help but be a bit absent-minded. He had to admit that Bai Wuxiue's power was even more powerful than he had expected. If he wanted to win, he might have to pay a huge price. Great meteor finger. Being in the ancient tree, Bai Wuxiue waved his hand, and that falling star finger power shot out, attacking Xia Hozun back. The scariest thing was that the shooting star finger that Bai Wuxiue had performed seemed to be even more powerful and faster than Xia Hozun's, as if it had been enhanced in every aspect. An eye for an eye. Bai Wuxiue's strength shocked everyone. Haha. Xia Hozun was so angry that he started laughing. Bai Wuxiue's attack was like a heavy slap on his face, which had pushed his anger to an unprecedented level. Bai Wuxiue, you are indeed very powerful. But it is still not enough. His finger drew a circle around his body. 2 circles, 3 circles, a whole 3 layers of defense appeared, making Xia Hozun feel like he was in another world. His connection with this world had been reduced to the minimum. That endless finger power shot out, shattering the first layer of defense. The second layer and the third layer of defense only lasted for a second before shattering as well. However, the rest of the finger power could no longer threaten Xia Hozun anymore. Let's see how you absorb it this time. Comet finger. With a roar, Xia Hozun pushed up his Zhenyuan and pointed out his finger. Without a sound, the sky darkened for dozens of miles. In that pitch-black environment, a massive comet sliced through the sky, bringing with it a destructive aura as it attacked toward that crystal ancient tree and Bai Wuxiue who was in it. One alone. Bai Wuxiue looked as calm as ever as he formed a spell with both of his hands. The branches of the ancient tree shrunk back quickly, merging back into the main trunk. Only one branch was left outside, but it did not shrink back at all. Instead, it started to grow at an unimaginable speed, eventually reaching beyond the main trunk. It flew toward that incoming comet finger power and clashed together. The sky above the Nine-Dragon Lake had turned into a death zone. That intense light that was like a star exploding had forced everyone to close their eyes. If they did not close their eyes, they might even go blind. Obviously, no one would want to risk it for nothing, since it was not their battle after all.
Boom.
After the intense light, a loud sound was heard. A lot of people's faces turned pale, and their chests felt heavy, since they were dozens of miles away from the battle site. By Wuxue, take another one of my comet finger attacks. In that intense light, color had already lost its meaning. A barely visible shadow moved at an extremely fast speed, approaching Bai Wuxue. Then, the sky darkened again, and the intense light was weakened. A finger power that looked like a real comet cracked open a mark in the light, shooting toward Bai Wuxue, who was in front of it. Xia Hozuan, take out your most powerful ace attack and void-shattering finger attack. Bai Wuxue scattered the tattered quintessence ancient tree and took a deep breath. His palm, which was covered in a jade-green light at some point in time, stretched out. Then, he clenched his fist in the air. In the next instant, a huge jade-green hand appeared out of nowhere in the dark environment. It grabbed the comet finger energy and squeezed.
Boom.
This time, the explosion was not as loud as before. The comet finger power and the huge green hand had been destroyed into nothingness at the same time, exploding into a pile of energy swirls. As you wish. Xia Hozuan also knew that with only the two attacks, he would not be able to do anything to Bai Wuxue. Among the top 5 young warriors, no one was truly number one. But without a doubt, Bai Wuxue was the one who had hidden the most, and the one who was the most unpredictable. Is it Xia Hozuan's ace attack or the void-shattering finger attack? Yi Chen's breathing sped up a little. His biggest goal this time was to witness Xia Hozuan's void-shattering finger attack. Only by observing it would he be able to learn the space profound faster and bring out the full power of the void-shattering finger attack. Turning void into reality. One finger attack. Xia Hozuan lifted up his right hand and reached out his index finger. In the next second, all of the space power that was everywhere in the world rushed over and gathered around his body. He seemed to be unable to control all of that space power, so a lot of it spread out in all directions like a pattern in the surreal space. Such a rich space power. Yi Chen closed his eyes and immersed himself in the observation of the space power. He felt like a fish swimming in the space power, continuously absorbing the nutrients and strengthening his body. As he continued to learn the space profound, Yan Fengfeng, Murong Qingcheng, and the rest had also noticed the change in Yi Chen. Chapter 614. Bai Wuxue looked a bit more serious. The space profound was one of the most powerful profounds, just below the time profound. When two profounds of the same level collided, the winner would definitely be the space profound. There was no doubt about it at all. In order to compete with the space profound, one would have to have the same level of profound. If one did not have the same level of profound, then one would have to be way more powerful in terms of movement. Lose. Xia Hozuan's eyes shone brightly as he pointed out his finger at Bai Wuxue, who was 1,000 meters away. As he pointed out his finger, that rich space power was added to his finger power, shooting out through the air. Eventually, it formed into a huge golden finger that looked like a tower, pressing toward Bai Wuxue. Can't dodge it? Bai Wuxue had thought about dodging, but the space power was the most mysterious one. It had the horrifying effect of shortening the distance. Even though it looked like 1,000 meters, it could actually be shortened by 2 times or even 3 times. Since I can't dodge it, then I guess I won't. Shield of Life. Endless Defense. Bai Wuxue had already started to form the spell when Chu Zhongtian performed his void-shattering finger attack. After making up his mind, he pushed his spell's speed to its limit. His hand shadow could no longer be seen anymore, only a blurry green light ball. Behind his back, countless thick Zhenyuan vines reached out. Judging from their shape, they looked very ancient, having a similar aura to the Zhenyuan ancient tree. Shoo, 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 shoo. Under the contrast of countless Zhan Yuan vines, Bai Wuxue looked like a super, huge spider. An air-piercing sound was heard as all of those Zhan Yuan vines reached out in front of Bai Wuxue, forming a green shield that looked like it was made out of vines. It stood firmly in front of him, connecting with the rest of the vines. In the next second, the golden finger landed on the green shield, bringing up a loud sound. The shield has been broken through. Everyone could see that there was a huge hole in the green shield, and it looked like it was about to go through.
No.
The shield is repairing at an insane speed. The pupils of the people with sharp eyes shrunk as they saw something that shocked them. The golden finger was invincible, and it could devour the energy on the shield to strengthen itself. However, the green shield did not collapse with a single strike. The countless green vines were like its nutrient conduits, providing it with sufficient nutrients. Even if the golden finger devoured a portion of the green vines, it would not be a big deal. It is the life power. I did not expect Bai Wuxue to have learned the profound of life. Someone exclaimed. It was a chain that connected the past, the present, and the future. Below it was the space profound. To a certain extent, the space profound was not inferior to the time profound. Below the space profound, there were many more powerful profounds, such as the Yin profound, the Yang profound, the life profound, and the death profound. Once the Yin profound and the Yang profound were combined, the life profound and the death profound would become a profound that was equal to the space profound. However, because these two opposing profounds needed to be combined, it was not as good as the space profound. Therefore, it was not as famous as the space profound. Although the profound of life was not as powerful as the profound of space, Bai Wuxue's understanding of it had obviously surpassed Xia Hozhuan's understanding of the profound of space. That endless life power poured into the green shield, canceling out the attack of the golden finger. He has actually learned the profound of life. Xia Hozhuan was shocked, so he threw out another void-shattering finger attack at Bai Wuxue, wanting to beat him with one attack. Bai Wuxue reached out both of his hands, the green shield seeming to be indestructible. After the activation of the profound of life, the endless life power was generated, canceling out the golden finger attack once again. Xia Hozhuan's void-shattering finger has been blocked out. Bai Wuxue is indeed powerful. I wonder if Xia Hozhuan will still use his void-shattering finger attack. I don't think so. The more powerful the profound, the more Zhan Yuan it will need. If he keeps this up, then Xia Hozhuan's Zhan Yuan will be drained even faster than Bai Wuxue's.
You are right.
Hearing everyone's discussion, Xia Beiding thought to himself, his profound of life should have been learned from the profound of wood. Among the 5 elements, the profound of wood and the profound of water both contain the profound of life, and the profound of earth contains a bit of it as well. Training the profound of wood to the highest level would indeed allow one to learn the profound of life. But the condition would be that the warrior's own comprehensive ability would be very high. All the power Upanishads in this world were connected, including time and space, because everything was derived from the primal chaos. Bai Wuxue, you are indeed very powerful, so powerful that even I am impressed. But if you think that I only have this much power, then you are very wrong. Indeed, the void-shattering finger attack is my most powerful profound sense martial art, but it might not be the one that I am best at. My best profound sense martial art would be the star nuclear finger that I have created myself.
Take this.
Xia Hozhuan did not perform his void-shattering finger attack anymore. His body flashed once as he approached Bai Wuxue at an extreme speed. That green shield could only block in front of him, and not in all directions. Shoo! Xia Hozhuan arrived at Bai Wuxue's side and threw out a finger attack.
Pop.
Where Bai Wuxue was standing, all of the air, yuan qi, and even the lake water were all pulled towards Xia Hozhuan, eventually being compressed into a light ball. Bai Wuxue, who was in the same space, could not help but be pulled over as well. That invisible pressure was pressing on him. This is the star nuclear gravity. Bai Wuxue frowned. Indeed. This is the martial art that I have learned from the Starlight Profound. Judging on attacking power, It is not as powerful as the void-shattering finger attack. But the things that the void-shattering finger attack cannot do, it can do. For example, beating you. Xia Hozuan was very confident, but it was not something that he was born with. It was something that came from his power. Indeed, this attack is very powerful. Bai Wuxue let go of his shield of life and pushed his Jinyuan, trying his best to cancel out the star nuclear gravity that Xia Hozuan had released. He did not doubt that once the star nuclear gravity landed on his body, it would shatter all of his internal organs and wound him severely. Therefore, it was very important to control the distance. Qi Wave 100 Sky. Bai Wuxue threw out a palm attack towards Xia Hozuan. Qi poured out, but out of his expectation, he could not perform the martial art that he had trained in the past. Once he let out his Jinyuan, it would be dragged out, and he would not be able to gather more Jinyuan. Haha. My star nuclear finger attack is not only used on your body. Your Jinyuan is affected by the star nuclear gravity as well. If my attack is not good, then I am afraid that my defense will not work either. Even my protective Jinyuan is starting to move. Bai Wuxue could sense that his protective Jinyuan was twisting and looking like it was about to shatter. Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack was way more powerful than he had expected. Since I cannot block out the star nuclear gravity, then I might as well do the opposite. This star nuclear gravity would not be able to break the balance, and it would have its own limit. Facing the danger, Bai Wuxue still did not lose his cool. He took a deep breath, and the Jinyuan in his dantian exploded like a flood. It rushed out through his meridians and eventually shot out of his body. That green Jinyuan was like a burning flame, expanding crazily.
What?
Xia Hozuan did not really understand what Bai Wuxue was doing. Lin Chaonan, one of the top 3 blade artists, did not understand either. He asked Xie Baiting, "Brother Xie, what do you think Bai Wuxue is planning?" Xie Baiting saw Bai Wuxue's Jinyuan being absorbed by Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack and compressed into a green light ball. As the light ball got bigger and bigger, Xia Hozuan found it harder and harder to control it. Xie Baiting sighed, such a powerful battling experience. Even I could not think of a way to break out of it. I did not expect him to have figured it out. He is doing the opposite, burning his own Jinyuan to cancel out Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger attack because the star nuclear gravity has its own limit. Once it goes beyond that limit, the star nuclear finger attack would lose its effect. After Xie Baiting's reminder, Lin Chaonan had understood it immediately. He could not help but be shocked. Obviously, Xia Hozuan had also understood what Bai Wuxue was doing. He said with a bad look on his face, "Do you think this will work? Before, you had performed the flower replace tree attack. Now, you should taste the feast that I have prepared for you." The star nuclear finger attack was not an active attack, but of course, it was not a passive attack either. It was something that was in between. Explode. Xia Hozuan was acting very strangely. His body flashed once before backing out at an extreme speed, getting away from where Bai Wuxue was. Shield of Life. Bai Wuxue's expression changed as he hurried to reach out his right hand. Dozens of Jinyuan vines grew out of his arm, forming a small green shield. In the next second, the Jinyuan ball that had been compressed into a bright green light ball exploded. It was Bai Wuxue's Jinyuan, which was basically giving Bai Wuxue a taste of his own medicine.
Boom.
The green shield was shattered, and Bai Wuxue was blown backward. Midway, he suddenly sunk down, both of his hands pressing on the surface of the 9-dragon lake. Spear of Life.
Swoosh.
At the bottom of the lake, countless Jinyuan vines formed into a long spear that broke through the water. It was right below Xia Hozuan, landing right on his protective Jinyuan layer.
Pooh.
His protective Jinyuan was shattered, and Xia Hozuan puked out a huge amount of blood. He had been badly wounded. Yuck. After throwing out that attack, Bai Wuxue himself had been wounded quite badly as well. Sticky blood poured out of his mouth, dyeing the lake water under his feet red. Bai Wuxue won? Everyone was not too sure, so they looked at each other. On top of the hill, Yan Fengfeng and Hai Wuya did not know who had won either. On the surface, it seemed like Bai Wuxue had wounded Xia Hozuan with one attack, so he had won. But Bai Wuxiu himself had been wounded badly as well. If Xia Hozuan still had the power to fight, then it would be a tie.
Who?
Right then, an intense space vibration appeared around Yi Chen, who was right next to Morong Qingqing. It was getting more and more powerful, forcing Morong Qingqing to move away from Yi Chen for a while. Void Shattering Finger, 60%. 70%. In a short time, Yi Chen had trained his space profound to an extremely high level. It was mainly because he had been stuck at 50% of his Void Shattering Finger before and could not make a breakthrough. Actually, he had accumulated a lot, and as long as he broke through the bottleneck, he would be able to keep improving his space profound. It was like a scholar who had been troubled by a difficult problem. Once he solved it, a lot of problems would be solved, and he would be able to reach a higher level in a short time. Chapter 615. Indeed, the Space Power Upanishad is 10 times more complicated than I had imagined. If the Void Shattering Finger art could only simulate the power of space at 50%, then after 50%, it would be able to absorb the power of space, which was everywhere. However, Yi Chen could feel that even with 70% of the Void Shattering Finger art, it would still only be able to make use of the space profound. In the end, it would only be using the power of space and would never be able to enter the palace of space. It was just like having a house. You could only use the materials of the house, but it did not mean that you understood the structure of the house. There would be a huge gap between the two, which was the difference between a layman and an expert. Even though he had comprehended the Void Shattering Finger to 70%, he was still an amateur. It was not hard to imagine how powerful and difficult it was to comprehend the profound of space. Xia Hozuan's Void Shattering Finger should be around 80%, definitely not more than 90%. Right now, I am still not able to compete with him. But of course, there is still a gap. But for now, the power of my gold pattern is not weaker than the 70% Void Shattering Finger. Combined with the Destruction Sword intent, it is even more powerful than the 80% Void Shattering Finger. When the Void Shattering Finger was trained to 50%, the Gold Resonant Radiance at 130% had already surpassed the Void Shattering Finger. Then, the Gold Resonant Radiance had reached 130%, and its power had increased drastically. Even if it could not reach 60%, it would not be much weaker than the Void Shattering Finger. Once Yi Chen had figured out his new sword movement, the gold pattern, it had become his most powerful ace attack. In terms of power, the gold pattern was twice as powerful as his 130% Gold Resonant Radiance sword art. Combined with the Destruction Sword intent, the 80% power of his Void Shattering Finger art would not be exaggerating at all. Therefore, under the same cultivation level, Yi Chen's most powerful attacking power would not be any weaker than Xia Hozuan's. Of course, the time that was given to Yi Chen was still a bit short. As long as Yi Chen perfected his gold pattern, it would not be impossible for him to compete with the top 5 young warriors with his peak level mid-seas of Soul's Realm cultivation. Therefore, at the end of the day, time was still too short. It was the same for Dugaju. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen withdrew from the state of comprehension. Yi Chen, have you comprehended it? Morong Qingqing knew that Yi Chen was cultivating the Void Shattering Finger. Yi Chen nodded. This trip wasn't in vain. Hee, congratulations. Actually, Yan Fengfeng and Hai Wuya had also vaguely known that the finger art Yi Chen had used had something to do with Xia Hozuan's Void Shattering Finger art. They were just not sure about it and did not want to point it out. Looking at Jilong Lake, Yi Chen asked who won. Morong Qingqing shook her head and said, I am not sure. Bai Wuxue and Xia Hozuan were both wounded quite badly, but Bai Wuxue had the upper hand. Yes, I can tell. In Yi Chen's sight, Bai Wuxue's face was extremely pale, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. Meanwhile, Xia Hozuan was looking even worse. The clothes on his chest had been ripped apart, revealing the defensive armor underneath. His face was covered in a layer of gold, and there was blood coming out of all of his orifices. His wounds were obviously more severe than Bai Wuxue's. The question was, did Xia Hozuan still have the power to fight? One had to know that at their level, it was possible for them to turn the tables at any time. Cough, cough, cough. Puking out another couple of mouthfuls of blood, Xia Hozuan's expression changed a couple of times. Eventually, he said slowly, "Shield of life, spear of life. I did not expect you to have already studied the profound of life to this level, able to attack and defend." Bai Wuxiue said indifferently, "Likewise. Your astral core finger nearly defeated me. Yes, I should hold on a little longer." Xia Hozuan was a bit regretful. If he had held on, then Bai Wuxiue would not have been able to perform that life spear attack with his remaining Jinyuan. But it was such a critical situation. Plus, he more or less had the thought of giving Bai Wuxiue a taste of his own medicine, which had ended up costing him the battle. But he could still vaguely feel that even if he had held on and performed his star nuclear finger attack to drain his opponent's Jinyuan, he might not have been able to win. His only mistake was letting down his guard slightly, allowing his opponent to hit him with the spear of life. In a battle between powerful warriors, the slightest mistake could decide the outcome. The conversation between the two was heard by the crowd, and only then did they realize that Bai Wuxiue had won. But what made them curious was that since Xia Hozuan could still talk normally, he should still have the power to fight. So, why did he not give it his all? But what they did not know was that the reason Xia Hozuan could still talk normally was not because of his wounds. In fact, those few sentences had already made him unable to suppress the hidden wounds in his body anymore. All of his organs were showing signs of being shattered. Bai Wuxue's last spear attack was unbelievably powerful, and it was not that much weaker than the void-shattering finger art. It seems like Bai Wuxue has won. But Xia Hozuan is not weak either. If they were to fight again, he might not lose. Yeah, Xia Hozuan's finger-painting art is indeed powerful. Unfortunately, he was a bit careless and did not manage to block out that life spear in time. You cannot blame Xia Hozuan either. In that kind of situation, anyone would have been careless. I can only say that Bai Wuxue is too powerful. The onlookers discussed animatedly, their emotions surging.
Ha!
Bai Wuxue, Xia Hozuan, you are indeed powerful enough to be in the top of the ranking. Right then, on a tall mountain not far away from the Nine-Dragon Lake, a bulky elder laughed out loud and said something that shocked everyone. Ranking? What is that? I have never heard of it before. Is there really such a ranking in the dark? That is not possible, right? What kind of ranking is there that we do not even know about? Let's ask him. Hey, what is this rankings? Someone asked. The elder said with a loud voice, I am Gao Changtian, the master of the pavilion. This ranking did not exist before. So it is normal that you guys do not know about it.
Oh?
Is your pavilion trying to compile a ranking? Gao Changtian scanned around with an excited look on his face as he said slowly, as everyone knows, it is hard to reach the life and death realm. There would only be around 10 in 100 years and no more than 20. Sometimes there would only be 7 or 8. But there are so many Sea of Souls realm warriors in the world. It would not be an exaggeration to say that there are so many of them. But unless you become a life and death realm warrior, once you die, people will forget about your existence in just a few decades. How sad and cruel would that be? Clearing his throat, Gao Changtian continued to say, although our pavilion has not been around for that long, it still has 800 years of history. In the early days of the pavilion's development, the leader of the building and a lot of the dead masters had talked about compiling the ranking. But the true spirit continent was way too big to imagine. With the power of the pavilion back then, it would be impossible for us to finish it. Even if we did, there would not be a lot of people who would believe and acknowledge it. After 800 years, we have finally reached our peak. We have branches in all the top 10 cities in the world. In each city, we have a large or mid-sized base for collecting information. There are also small bases in the normal towns. Therefore, although the continent is huge, we believe that we can finish the task of compiling the ranking. We swear that we will put all of the top Sea of Souls realm warriors into the ranking. So, after decades or centuries, there will still be people who will remember them and remember their glorious stories.
Gasp.
Hearing him, Everyone gasped, including Xie Baiting, Bai Wuxiue, and the rest. Putting all of the top Sea of Souls realm warriors into the ranking would be extremely difficult, since there were a lot of them who had been hiding in the dark or had retired from the world. Besides them, since they were going to compile the ranking, there would have to be a ranking which would be even harder than finding all of the hidden master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. It would be impossible to have a master-level competition and have all of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors participate in the competition. It would not be realistic at all. Therefore, in order to compile the ranking, one would have to carefully observe some of the top Sea of Souls realm master-level warriors and figure out their specific power levels. It would be a lot of work. Of course, only the Pavilion would have the right to compile the ranking since it was the recognized #1 information organization in the world. How many people are in the ranking? Some of the master-level warriors who thought that they had some power could breathe faster. They could already see the future of the ranking. Without any surprises, once the ranking was released, it would definitely shock the whole world. Being able to be in the ranking would be a symbol of power and fame. Although they were quite famous before, there would always be some people who did not want to admit their power. Gao Changtian said, "The ranking is more about quality than quantity." Therefore, there would only be 72 spots in total, and it would be changed once a year. Then, we will write a book for the ranking which you can buy in every city. Even if you have never been in the martial world before, even if you are not a warrior, as long as you buy a book, you will know who the top master-level warriors are in the world. Such a big plan. Yichen could not help but take a deep breath. He did not expect that the information from the Pavilion would be this powerful. He did not think that the Pavilion had overestimated itself. Otherwise, they would not have waited until 800 years before starting to compile the master-level warrior ranking, waiting until now. Once the ranking is out, it will also ignite the passion of the master-level warriors. Morong Qingqing said. Yichen nodded, that is for sure. Once the ranking is recognized, it will become the wind vane. If you are not in it, then no one will acknowledge you. Therefore, some of the people who are planning to protect themselves and not accept challenges will not be able to stay quiet like before, unless they do not care about their reputation. After all, you have not fought for dozens of years, so who knows how powerful you really are. The Pavilion will not be able to do something that only the gods can do, so they can only try to be fair. Someone suddenly asked, "Master Gao, you just said that Bai Wuxiue and Xiaohozuan have the right to be in the top of the ranking. I wonder, according to your information, what rank would they be?" Hearing him, a lot of people had a curious look flashing through their eyes. They all said that the top 5 young warriors were very powerful, and there were not many people who could surpass them. But if there was a clear ranking, then it would be more intuitive. Gao Changtian said, "I am not sure about that right now because the ranking will be compiled on the 10th of October. Although we have collected a lot of information, it is not perfect yet. But, judging from the information we have, Bai Wuxiue and Xiaohozuan would both be in the top 15, maybe even higher. Anyway, on the 10th of October, the first ranking will be released. By then, you all will know who the 72 warriors will be." The 10th of October. There is still less than a month. This Gao Changtian must be here to collect information. If I had known earlier, I would have shown some of my power as well. Perhaps he would have noticed me and listed me as one of the candidates. Since the Pavilion is going to compile the ranking, then they must have planned it beforehand. As long as they have made a move in the recent years, they would have collected all of it. But of course, it would be better for me to show some of my power now, since I am definitely more powerful than before. Looking over at Xie Baiting, Gao Changtian laughed. "Xie Baiting, your power is recognized by everyone in the martial world. We, the Pavilion, have already listed you as one of the top 5 candidates. Without any surprises, you will definitely be in the top 5. As he spoke, he looked over at Yi Chun, the #1 warrior under the top 5 young warriors. "Yi Chun, you might be able to make it into the ranking as well. You have a great chance." Xie Baiting and Yi Chun smiled lightly and did not say anything. But they were very curious about the ranking as well. Once the 10th of October arrived, they would definitely buy a copy of the ranking to see who the 72 warriors were and see if they could match their own opinions. Chapter 616. Seeing that Gao Changtian also thought highly of Yi Chen, a lot of people looked at him with admiration. But this kind of thing was not going to happen. Yi Chen would only be appreciated if he had the power. The number 1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors was not an easy title. As for Xie Baiting, no one doubted him even more. He had been the number 1 blade master in the continent for decades, and his power could only be described as immeasurable. Being in the top 5 of the master-level warrior ranking would be a piece of cake for him. But no one knew who else would be able to make it into the top 5. Time is running out. Duguju quietly tightened his fists. He had never wanted to increase his power as much as he did before. They were all young people, and since they were all young people, they would definitely be young and energetic. How could they be indifferent to fame and fortune? Those who could would have already lost their passion.
Ho.
Taking a deep breath, Duguju looked determined. He looked in the direction where Yi Chen was and said with a loud voice, "Yi Chen, I will challenge you here in 1 year. But of course, if you do not come, I will have nothing to say." Duguju is going to challenge Yi Chen in 1 year. Judging from the current situation, although Duguju and Yi Chen are not as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, they are getting closer. Not many people have been able to do this in the past few years, including Lan Xiecheng and Lin Tian, who have the highest chance of becoming the top 5 young warriors. They are still far away from the top 5 young warriors. It seems like Duguju is trying to use the 1-year deadline to pressure himself and force himself to improve even faster. If he could beat Yi Chen, then he would be even more powerful. The battle between the 2 top martial geniuses, it would not be that much weaker than the top 5 young warriors. No, I think it might be even more interesting than the battle between the top 5 young warriors, because a lot of people would like to know how much they would have improved in 1 year. Don't forget that they had only reached the Sea of Souls realm for 1 or 2 years, and they had already improved so much. If they were given another year, even if they were not as powerful as the top 5 young warriors, they would be very close. They might even be able to compete with the top 5 young warriors. Now that you mention it, it's possible. Hearing that Duguju wanted to challenge Yi Chen in a year's time, the crowd's blood that had just calmed down started to boil again. Soon after, countless pairs of eyes looked at Yi Chen to see how he would respond. Yi Chen simply said, "I will come." Duguju couldn't be underestimated. Some people were born to become stronger when encountering strong opponents. The strength of his opponent would only promote his improvement. Yi Chen really wanted to know if Duguju could fight against him. If he could, then his future opponent would most likely be Duguju. Yi Chen agreed. How decisive. Of course. They are both monstrous geniuses. If Yi Chen didn't agree, wouldn't he be afraid of Duguju? He's afraid that Duguju will surpass him. Everyone discussed animatedly. All of a sudden, a person walked out of the crowd. It was indeed one of the previous master-level blade artists, Shen Qianling. Lin Chaonan saw Shen Qianling walk out, so he said to Xie Baiting, "It seems like Brother Shen could not wait anymore. This time's master-level warrior ranking will be a great opportunity." Xie Baiting said, "All right. Compared to Bai Wuxue and Xia Hozuan, I would like to know how powerful Xiao Chuhe is." Just as Xie Baiting finished his sentence, Shen Qianling flew to the center of the lake and said with a loud voice, "Xiao Chuhe, let's use this opportunity to battle it out." 2 years ago, he had lost to Xiao Chuhe and lost the title of being one of the top 3 master-level blade artists, while Xiao Chuhe had become the youngest master-level blade artist. Today, he was not only going to take back the title that he once had, but also prove to the world that he, Shen Qianling, would not fall just like this. Even if his opponent was one of the top 5 young warriors, so what? Xiao Chuhe walked out step by step. "All right, my blade intent is at its peak. Since you have come out to challenge me, I will give you a chance." The battle between Bai Wuxue and Xia Hozuan had already ignited Xiao Chuhe's battle intent and blade intent. Shen Qianlong's challenge was exactly what he wanted. These two want a battle as well? Gao Changtian was interested. He knew that the top 5 young warriors were all important targets. "Let's do it." Xiao Chuhe stood on top of the lake, holding the blade's scabbard in his left hand. Who? Shen Qianling slowly breathed in and out, adjusting his breathing. Xiao Chuhe was definitely the fastest blade artist he had ever seen. He did not have the confidence to win, but he thought that if he did not challenge him now, he would not have the chance in the future. Therefore, he had to fight.
Wave.
Combined with the breathing technique, Shen Qianling adjusted his mental state to its peak. His excitement was accompanied by calmness, and his calmness contained a destructive explosive power. He was like a boundless ocean, each wave taller than the last, instilling fear in people's hearts.
Chin.
Taking out his blade, the lake water under Shen Qianlong's feet suddenly expanded, turning into a huge wave that carried him toward Xiao Chuhe, who was not far away. Soon, a blade light shone, and the entire Nine-Dragon Lake turned violent, increasing the pressure on Xiao Chuhe.
Break.
The lake water under Xiao Chuhe's feet did not change at all. He groaned and took out his long blade as well. Holding it with both of his hands, he threw out a blade attack. Swoosh! The huge wave was sliced open, and Shen Qianlong's blade light was shattered.
Dang. Dang. Dang.
Both of them were top blade artists. Although the battle scene was not as amazing as by Wu Xue and Xia Hozuan's, each blade attack was deadly, giving people a very thrilling feeling. Shen Qianling was indeed one of the top 3 blade artists. His blade aura was so powerful that it was almost unimaginable. Each blade attack was like a huge wave in the ocean. After throwing out dozens of blade attacks in a row, the sky had changed color, and the waves were endless. If normal blade artists were to battle with him, they would be completely suppressed in terms of aura alone because Shen Qianling, who was using all of his power, gave people the feeling that he was an ocean that was unpredictable. If Shen Qianling was the ocean, then Xiao Chuhe would be a blade artist training in the ocean. The blade in his hand was not that fast, but it was not that amazing either. But, with one blade attack, any incoming wave would be sliced in half without any hesitation, condensing the blade power without letting it out. Such a horrifying blade artist. Gradually, Yichen could feel how horrifying Xiao Chuhe was. If Bai Wuxue was like the clouds, and Xia Hozuan was like the thunder, then Xiao Chuhe was like the earth, carrying everything in its way. It was extremely heavy, and if one wanted to beat a blade artist like this, they would have to be way more powerful than him. Otherwise, there would be no way to beat him in one go. Ride the wind and wave. Shen Qianling knew that it would not be good for him if it continued. So, he carried the wind and wave as his whole body shot into the air and threw out a blade attack. This blade attack was thrown out with the momentum, and it was Shen Qianlong's most powerful blade attack. Ocean-splitting blade. Xiao Chuhe was still standing in the area where he was standing. Facing Shen Qianlong's most powerful blade attack, he did not back out or try to avoid it. He threw out one blade attack after another, as if it were nothing more than waves. As long as it was a wave, there would be nothing that he could not cut in half.
Swoosh.
Shen Qianlong's most powerful blade attack disappeared completely. On the surface of the Nine-Dragon Lake, a blade mark that extended all the way to the edge appeared. The blade mark was like a natural moat, instantly splitting the surface of the lake in half.
Pooh.
Puking out a mouthful of blood, Shen Qianling was blown backward as a blade mark appeared on his chest. Although he had the protection of his armor, so that blade attack did not land on his body directly, the extremely dense blade power had already gone through the armor and wounded his internal organs. He did not feel that much pain, but instead a relief. Because from now on, he would not have to challenge Xiao Chuhe anymore, and he would not have to carry the pressure of losing to him anymore. What a powerful ocean-splitting blade attack! Shen Qianling did not even have a chance to fight back. Xia Baiting shook his head. This battle was not that exciting, and it was not even that intense. If one had to talk about intense battles, then Shen Qianling would be the most intense. Unfortunately, his opponent was Xiao Chuhe, who was like an endless land. Shen Qianlong's blade art seemed to be very aggressive, but it would not be able to cover the whole land all of a sudden. From the beginning to the end, Shen Qianling did not even have a chance to fight back. He was forced into Xiao Chuhe's rhythm. Seeing this kind of battle, Even Xieb Baiting could not help but feel a chill run down his spine. He thought that if they were at the same power level, he would only have 30 to 40% chance of beating Xiao Chua. Ocean-splitting blade Xiao Chua. Impressive. Since Gao Chongtian was able to become a master of the pavilion, he had been able to observe the power of all the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors in the world. So he was naturally not weak himself. As a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior himself, he could tell that Xin Qianling was very powerful. Although he might not be able to make it into the top 20, he would definitely be able to make it into the top 25. If it were someone else, then the battle would be even more intense. But his opponent was Xiao Chua, and there was not even a single chance for him to fight back. Xiao Chua, you can also make it into the top 15 of the master-level warrior ranking, Gao Chongtian announced. Everyone did not have any doubts about what Gao Chongtian had announced, so they started to discuss quietly. This battle is so normal, but why am I having goosebumps all over my body? Me too. Don't you guys feel it? Xin Qianling is like a bug in a spider's web. No matter how hard he tries to struggle, he will still end up in the spider's mouth. Someone expressed the most appropriate opinion. After beating Xin Qianling, Xiao Chua's expression did not change at all as he turned to look at Lu Xiaoyu, who had a cold expression on his face. Lu Xiaoyu, in 1 year, I will challenge you. Sure. Lu Xiaoyu said lightly. Another battle in 1 year. Everyone got excited. Adding Dugu Ju and Yi Chen, there would be 2 intense battles in 1 year. So, no matter what, they would have to come and watch the battles in 1 year. After the battle between Xin Qianling and Xiao Chua had ended, the 9-Dragon Lake quieted down. Let's go. Yi Chen knew that there would not be any more battles, and even if there were, it would only be some small warriors. More and more people started to leave the place. Just like that, the 9-Dragon Lake, which had been quite lively for the past couple of days, had finally come to an end. But, although it had ended, everything that had happened in the past couple of days would definitely be spread around the Sky Marshal region for a long time, becoming the topic of everyone's gossip. Regarding the master-level warrior ranking, it would naturally be spread around the world through everyone's mouths, bringing up a huge storm. Chapter 6:17. The clouds in the sky rolled back and forth, and a flying puppet shaped like a demonic bird spread its wings and flew away, galloping above the boundless sea of clouds. The puppet's back was wide and flat, enough to hold 6 or 7 people. Of course, there were only Yi Chen and Morong Qingqing on it at the moment. Yi Chen's arms were wrapped around Morong Qingqing, her sweet body fragrance filling his breath. The two had already become intimate in the mysterious dark city. Apart from the matter between a man and a woman, they had done everything. At this moment, Morong Qingqing's face was not covered by a black veil, presenting her beautiful face in front of Yi Chen's eyes. Her eyebrows were like jade feathers, and her skin was like sheep fat. Her nose was high, and her eyes were like stars. Her lips were even redder than normal people, and her silky black hair flowed down from her ears. A few strands floated at the tip of Yi Chen's nose, filling his nose with a fragrance. Seeing Yi Chen staring at her, Morong Qingqing's cheeks blushed a little. Drunk on a beauty's lap, awake with a killing sword. Feeling the soft and graceful body in his arms, a phrase naturally appeared in Yi Chen's mind. Screech. While the two were being intimate, a 4-clawed demonic bird suddenly pounced over. This demonic bird was several times bigger than Yi Chen's flying puppet. Its eyes were like 2 searchlights, and its whole body was shrouded in a scarlet red and black aura, looking extremely ferocious. The 4-clawed demonic bird was fond of flesh and blood, especially those with powerful bodies. Yi Chen had already cultivated a 3rd-step spirit body, so his body's strength was needless to say. On the other hand, Morong Qingqing's demonic body was even higher than Yi Chen's in terms of life force, which made the 4-clawed demonic bird's heart itch. Seeing that neither Yi Chen nor Morong Qingqing had reached late Sea of Soul realm, the 4-clawed demonic bird screeched again and pounced toward the two, its four claws tearing the sky apart.
Clang.
Holding Morong Chingcheng in his left hand, Yichen pulled out his gold sword and slashed. Puchi. A huge bird head flew up. The corpse of the four-clawed demon bird was decapitated, falling far behind the flying puppets and falling into the sea of clouds. Four-clawed demonic birds usually live in the northern regions, with the desolate fire domain being the most common. It seems like we're about to reach the desolate fire domain, Morong Chingcheng said. After leaving Nine Dragon Lake, the two of them did not stop to rest. They headed straight for the northern wastelands fire region. After all, the time limit for the shadowless poison to flare up was getting closer. Sheathing the gold sword, Yichen released his soul force and extended it towards the sea of clouds. He then said, "We have reached the Iron Feather River." The desolate fire region was right in front of the Iron Feather River. On the banks of the Iron Feather River, a black-robed man and a rainbow-robed old man stood on a reef. Voila! The headless bird's corpse fell into the Iron Feather River and splashed water everywhere. Killing my four-clawed bird with one sword strike. This is not something an ordinary person can do. The rainbow-robed old man did not have a demonic beast body, but his pupils were vertical, flickering with a strange five-colored radiance. The black-robed man said gloomily, "This kid is improving extremely fast. If he is given some time, I'm afraid no one under life and death realm will be able to keep him in check. If we want to obtain the undying body secret art, this is our only chance. If we miss this chance, we can forget about it. Perhaps we can sell the information to someone else." The black-robed man was Een Demon Master. Yi Chen's name had spread throughout the Sky Martial region, becoming the number one under the top 5 young tycoons. Een Demon Master had naturally heard of him. Therefore, on the day of the battle between Bai Wuxue and Xia Hozuan, he had gone as well. As he had expected, Yi Chen was indeed there. However, Yi Chen's strength had astonished him. Although Een Demon Master believed that he was not inferior to Lin Tian and Lan Xiecheng, he did not have the confidence to contend against Yi Chen. Left with no other choice, Een Demon Master decided not to keep this to himself, so he contacted his old friend, Sky Hunter Master. Sky Hunter Master's strength was even higher than Een Demon Master's. He had cultivated a powerful secret art that only demonic beasts could cultivate, causing the Zhen Yuan in his body to have a demonic aura. He was innately close to demonic beasts, and taming them was even easier than Thunder Region's beast-controlling school. The four-clawed demonic bird that had just died was only a relatively weak 10th grade demonic beast in his beast token. It was not enough to make him feel bad. High in the air, I can't bring out my advantage to the limit. Let him live a little longer. The rainbow-robed old man indifferently said. Desolate Fire Region was in the western part of Northern Region. There were many mountain ranges in the west, and Barbaric Mountain Range traversed 3 great regions. It was the largest mountain range in Northern Region. Even on true Spirit Continent, it would be one of the best. Arriving at the edge of Barbaric Mountain Range, Yichen took out the map Huang Mei had given him and carefully compared it. Pointing northwest, he said, "It should be there." Barbaric Mountain Range was too big. Without a map, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. It would be hard to find the whereabouts of the phoenix plume tree. Of course, even with a map, they might not be able to find it. It was all a matter of luck. Murong Qingqing said, "There are dozens of large and small barbarian tribes in Barbaric Mountain Range. Small tribes only have tens of thousands of people, while big tribes have millions of people. If it's really not possible, perhaps we can trade with the barbarian tribes. They have lived here for countless years, so perhaps they have the phoenix plume tree." Yichen nodded. "If we have no other choice, we can only deal with them. But the barbarian tribes have a bad temper, so it might be a bit rough." Barbarian race was a branch of the human race, but they did not recognize themselves as humans. Therefore, some of them were not very friendly toward humans.
Swish.
The flying puppet flew toward the northwest of Barbaric Mountain Range. After several days, Yi Chun and Murong Qingqing arrived at the depths of Barbaric Mountain Range. As far as the eye could see, the continuous mountain peaks rose and fell, emitting a faint savage aura.
Let's go down.
This was the place where the former valley master of the Flowing Spring Valley had found the phoenix plume tree. However, a map was a map after all, and the error could be as high as tens of thousands of miles. The place where the two landed was a low, desolate, and broken mountain peak. It seemed that some powerful life had once fought here. Releasing his soul power, Yichen could sense everything within a range of 500 miles. There was nothing strange. Changing to another place, Yichen continued to search. And so on. After 5 times, Yichen made a slight sound of surprise. "What's wrong?" Morong Qingqing asked. Yichen said, "There is a valley 300 miles away. The savage aura inside is very dense, and there is also a thick fog that can weaken soul power. Soul power cannot be used to search thoroughly. Let's get closer." The range of Morong Qingqing's soul power was not as wide as Yichen's. Just like normal Sea of Souls realm warriors, it was also 100 miles. However, Morong Qingqing had her demon eyes. If they were close enough, she could see through all the obstacles and see the situation inside the valley. After flying for nearly 300 miles, the two could see the valley hidden in the thick fog with their naked eyes. The outline of the valley was faintly discernible. "Open!" Circulating her demon power to her eyes, Morong Qingqing's pupils opened up, revealing a golden vertical eye. The vertical eye shone with an invisible light as it looked toward the valley. On the side, Yichen thought to himself, demons are indeed a higher race than humans. This demon eye is something that every Sea of Souls realm demon dwellers have, so it is not that rare. However, it is rare for a human to have it. In order to defeat the demons, I wonder how many human warriors had died. After a long while, Morong Qingqing closed her demon eye. There is a 10th grade black wind leopard inside. It has already discovered us and is rushing over. There are also many other leopard-type demonic beasts. Inside the valley, there is an area with an extremely dense spiritual light. Even my demon eye can't see through it. It should be the spiritual qi emitted by spiritual grasses. Although the demon eye was powerful, it couldn't see through the dense energy. Soul power didn't have this weakness, but there were many things that could restrict or weaken soul power. Both had their own merits and shortcomings. Then let's wait.
Yichen said.
Roar. The dense fog at the entrance of the valley dispersed, and numerous air-piercing sounds resounded, accompanied by deep beast roars. Who has come to my Black Wind Valley? As the air-piercing sounds dissipated, a group of leopard-type demonic beasts appeared before Yichen and Morong Qingqing. The one in the lead was precisely the 10th grade Overlord Black Wind Leopard. However, this Black Wind Leopard had already transformed halfway. It was walking on 2 legs and had a malevolent leopard head. Yichen's expression didn't change as he said, "I want to make a deal with you." "Deal? What deal?" The Black Wind Leopard sized up Yichen and Morong Qingqing, especially Morong Qingqing. Yichen's expression turned cold as he said, "We need a phoenix plume fruit. If you have it, I can pay double the amount of spiritual stones." Double the amount of spiritual stones for the phoenix plume fruit? The Black Wind Leopard chuckled. That's not low. How much is your so-called double the amount of spiritual stones? 1 phoenix plume fruit is worth 30,000 high-grade spiritual stones. I'll pay 60,000. 60,000 is too little. The Black Wind Leopard shook his head. Morong Qingqing frowned. You have it? Of course I do. However, I'm not satisfied with your price. How about this? 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones, and this woman. I'll give you the phoenix plume fruit in a month. The Black Wind Leopard's eyes flashed with a mocking light. Yichen sneered. I'm afraid you don't have it. He could tell that the other party was looking for trouble. Brat, you're an eyesore. I'll give you a choice. Scram immediately. Otherwise, you won't be able to return. The Black Wind Leopard naturally didn't have the phoenix plume fruit. After it cultivated to a half-human form, its sense of beauty had started to move closer to that of a human. Morong Qingqing was undoubtedly in line with it. I'll also give you a choice. Tell me about the phoenix plume fruit or the phoenix plume tree. Otherwise, die. It was impossible to reason with such a ferocious, demonic beast. Thus, he could only be more domineering. You're courting death. You actually dare to speak to my leader in such a manner. The group of 9th and 10th level leopard demonic beasts behind the black-winged leopard roared and attacked. Boundless demonic power turned into a gorgeous, light beam that blasted towards Yi-Chen.
Break.
Yi-Chen didn't retreat. He pointed with his finger.
Pop.
A stone pillar-like cyan finger pierced through the air. Not only did it destroy the demonic power, it even shot towards the black-winged leopard. The black-winged leopard was an overlord of 10th level demonic beasts. It was extremely powerful. Ordinary 10th level demonic beasts weren't even enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. This was also the reason why it dared to look down on Yi-Chen and Murong Qingqing. It waved its claw that had yet to transform, and the cyan finger was immediately torn to pieces. Soul Extinguishing Wave. Murong Qingqing's attack followed. An invisible soul attack struck the black-winged leopard's soul sea. It caused him to feel slightly dizzy. However, it was only dizziness. After all, demonic beast will was different from human will. Moreover, Murong Qingqing's comprehension of the soul-extinguishing wave had not reached perfection. Chapter 618. Woman, you've angered me. Among the land beasts, leopards were the fastest. As a Class 10 overlord demonic beast, the black-winged leopard's speed was naturally its forte. There were very few demonic beasts of the same level that could surpass it. It stomped on the ground with its legs, and its enormous and nimble body turned into a series of afterimages as it shot toward Murong Qingqing, intending to capture her. Whoosh! The black bat wings on her back unfurled. Murong Qingqing instantly left her original spot and soared into the sky.
Eh?
You actually have wings as a human? The black-winged leopard raised its head and looked at Murong Qingqing in astonishment. It was certain that her wings were not formed from energy. They truly existed. Void-shattering finger. Earlier, Yi-Chen had only used 70 to 80% of his strength. Furthermore, it had been greatly weakened by the demonic energy of the other leopard-type demonic beasts. This time, he had used the full power of the void-shattering finger. With a single point of his finger, the omnipresent power of space was sucked over. This caused the cyan finger, which was the size of a stone pillar, to emit a faint cyan glow as it shot toward the black-winged leopard. Not good. The black-winged leopard's hair stood on end. The barbaric mountain range spanned tens of millions of li. As a Class 10 overlord demonic beast, its territory spanned tens of thousands of li. In the barbaric mountain range, other than the barbarian tribes, it had no natural enemies. Although some of the other Class 10 overlord demonic beasts were stronger than it, they were not as fast as it. Therefore, it was not afraid of them. However, Yi-Chen's finger made it feel a great threat. It knew that it would not be able to dodge this finger with its speed. The black-winged leopard crossed its arms, and a black whirlwind of demonic energy gathered in front of it. The whirlwind of demonic energy condensed into an octagonal shield to protect it.
Boom.
After that, the cyan finger smashed into the octagonal shield fiercely. Shockwaves and shockwaves soared into the sky. The black-winged leopard's feet rubbed against the ground as it retreated several thousand meters. In the end, it smashed into a small mountain, causing rubble to fly everywhere. Roar! A large amount of blood flowed out from the corner of the black-winged leopard's mouth. It was true that it was a 10th grade overlord demonic beast, but it specialized in speed. In terms of defense, it was much inferior to other 10th grade overlord demonic beasts. Of course, its defense was already very powerful, many times stronger than ordinary 10th grade overlord demonic beasts. Unfortunately, Yi-Chen's void-shattering finger was one of the top offensive martial arts. Thus, how could it remain unscathed? How dare you injure me? You're dead. I'll eat you until not even your bones are left. The black-winged leopard believed that it had been caught off guard and had not been able to use its speed advantage, so its first reaction was not fear, but anger. Right now, it wanted to go all out to kill this hateful human and take away his woman. Rolling on the ground, the black-winged leopard returned to its original form from its half-human form. Surprisingly, it was an enormous black leopard. There were even gray patterns on its black fur. Exerting strength from its forelimbs, it suddenly rushed toward Yi Chen. Its speed was so fast that it resembled a black ray of light. So fast, it's even faster than the experts of the cyanide white wolf family. While the black-winged leopard was fast, the speed at which Yi Chen drew his sword was not slow either. Sword light blossomed as Yi Chen blocked the black-winged leopard's first attack. Dazzling sparks appeared before him. Flying assassination slash. At the same time as the black-winged leopard attacked Yi Chen, Murong Qingcheng did not remain idle. With a flap of the black bat wings on her back, space began to distort. With a schwa sound, she disappeared. The next moment, she appeared in the sky above the black-winged leopard and sent a palm chop at it.
Pucci.
In terms of straight-line speed, the black-winged leopard was not inferior to Murong Qingcheng. However, after colliding head-on with Yi Chen earlier, its body was somewhat stiff. Thus, Murong Qingcheng's palm chop landed squarely on its back. Immediately, its fur flew about, and a bloody wound appeared. Damn it! The black-winged leopard did not expect that Murong Qingcheng could injure it, even if it was only a flesh wound. Raising its 3-meter-long black iron rod-like tail, the black-winged leopard twisted its body and lashed at Murong Qingcheng, tearing the sky apart.
Schwa.
Murong Qingcheng's body leaned back and teleported dozens of meters away, dodging the black-winged leopard's tail attack. Yi Chen was not worried about Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng was not a burden. Apart from lacking in offensive power, her overall strength was very high. Even if she encountered a young expert like Lin Tian or Lan Xiecheng, she could easily escape. It was the same principle as Yan Fengfeng did not need to fear the 5 young tyrants. Gold ripple. Changing his footwork, Yi Chen slashed the gold sword in his hand. Several golden sword chi spread out like ripples in the water. As for the black-winged leopard, it was like a fish in the water. It forcibly bore the impact of the ripples, and bone-deep sword scars covered its body. Damn it, I've kicked an iron plate. How could the black-winged leopard not understand that it had kicked an iron plate this time? Not to mention that Murong Qingcheng's speed was not inferior to its own, and her agility was far above its own. Even Yi Chen would be able to make it suffer a few pots. That high-speed attack just now could even cause a 10th-grade overlord to suffer a bit. However, not only did Yi Chen have the time to draw his sword, he was even able to clash head-on with it. Run! The black-winged leopard's body turned into a black beam and fled. Where do you think you're going? Murong Qingcheng seized the opportunity and unleashed another soul-extinguishing wave. The powerful soul ripple battered the black-winged leopard's sea of soul, reducing its speed by a level. With a flicker of sword light, Yi Chen blocked the black-winged leopard's path and said indifferently, "Tell me about the phoenix plume fruit. If you don't, I'll kill you right now." "I don't have any phoenix plume fruit." "I was lying." The black-winged leopard groaned inwardly. Murong Qingcheng flew to Yi Chen's side and said to the black-winged leopard, "You have lived in the barbaric mountain range for so many years. You should have heard about the phoenix plume fruit." The black-winged leopard rolled its eyes and suddenly said, "I do know where the phoenix plume fruit is. I just don't know if you dare to go there." "Tell me about it first," said Yi Chen. The black-winged leopard said, "There is a myriad hero mountain about 50,000 kilometers northwest of the Black-Wind Valley. It is occupied by a bear demon called Tyrant Bear. Tyrant Bear has 2 brothers, a snake demon and an eagle demon. Tyrant Bear is much stronger than me. Although his brothers aren't as strong as me, they are very difficult to deal with. Once, my subordinates and Tyrant Bear's subordinates encountered each other. Tyrant Bear's subordinates accidentally revealed that they would be given a fruit that is as long as a phoenix's tail during their celebration. Of course, they would only be given a fingernail. If I'm not wrong, that fruit should be the phoenix plume fruit you're looking for, right?" "Really?" Murong Qingcheng raised her brows. The black-winged leopard hurriedly nodded, "Absolutely. I believe that you're telling the truth. However, your sins are not small. I'll have to collect some interest. Yichen gestured to Morong Qingcheng and then flew into the valley. Morong Qingcheng followed behind Yichen. She knew that Yichen was going to the medicine garden in the valley. The valley was very large. There was a depression in the ground that was filled with spiritual plants. Most of them weren't worth much, but there were some that were clearly high-grade spiritual plants. There was also a black spiritual plant at the center of the medicine garden. There were ant-like fruits growing on the spiritual plant. Dense spiritual energy spread out and didn't disperse for a long time. Black ant grass. Yi Chen's expression changed. Murong Qingqing asked, "Can this replace the king ant grass?" Yi Chen said, "Its effect isn't as powerful as the king ant grass, but it's about the same. Perhaps it can be used to refine the shadowless poison antidote." The antidote required 3 materials: phoenix plume fruit, king ant grass, and skeleton flower. They were currently searching for the phoenix plume fruit. If the black wind leopard's words were true, they should be able to obtain it soon. If the black ant grass could replace the king ant grass, they would only be lacking the skeleton flower, which would save them a lot of effort. After storing the black ant grass and some rare high-grade spiritual plants into his storage ring, Yichen stopped. The black wind leopard's mouth twitched from time to time, feeling incomparable heartache. "All right, let's go." Yichen didn't plan to kill the black wind leopard. Demonic beasts were different from humans. Demonic beasts were savage by nature, and it was impossible for them to be amiable. Therefore, the black wind leopard's previous actions were understandable. If it were a human, Yichen would have killed him to avoid future troubles. Swish, swish. The two turned into 2 beams of light and left. "They're finally gone." The black wind leopard sat on the ground with lingering fear. In the sky, Morong Qingqing creased her brows. "Do you believe what it said?" Yichen said, "Although demonic beasts have no lack of crafty ones, their intelligence cannot compare to humans. It's impossible for them to make up a story without even thinking. Moreover, my guess is correct. It should have suffered a loss at the hands of Tyrant Bear, and it has always been in a bad mood. This is also the reason why it revealed such a sneaky appearance. Moreover, I've already secretly left a strand of soul aura on its body. If it didn't deceive us, it wouldn't have a good future." Yi Chen's soul power was 5 times that of an ordinary person. Thus, leaving a strand of soul aura was quite easy. As his cultivation base grew, he could feel the strength of his soul talent. "And that makes sense." Morong Qingqing nodded. 100,000 li wasn't a short distance. The two spent more than 2 hours to reach the Myriad Majestic Mountain that the Black Wind Leopard mentioned. The Myriad Majestic Mountain was a few thousand meters tall mountain that stretched for hundreds of li. Demonic chi pervaded the mountain, and the sky was gray and oppressive. Roar. Beastly roars could be heard from the mountain, shaking the surroundings. "It's here. I'll use my soul power to check first." Yi Chen's pupils turned silver as his majestic soul power spread out, covering the entire Myriad Majestic Mountain. When his soul power reached the main peak, 3 strands of soul power rushed out and blocked Yi Chen's soul power. Withdrawing his soul power, Yi Chen said, "We've been discovered. Let's go." There was no phoenix plume tree in other places, so it could only be the main peak. Inside the main peak of the Myriad Majestic Mountain, 3 half-human, half-beast figures stood there, facing a black-robed man and a rainbow-robed old man. At this moment, the black-robed man and the rainbow-robed old man revealed a strange expression. They're indeed here for the phoenix plume fruit. It wasn't a secret that Morong Qingqing's mother was poisoned by the shadowless poison. Moreover, the phoenix plume fruit could only be found in the barbaric mountain range. Through the demonic beast surveillance, Sky Bird Ancestor and Een Demon Ancestor followed them all the way to the Myriad Majestic Mountain. "Sky Bird Ancestor, we've agreed that all their treasures will belong to us. That woman will also be ours," the half-human, half-bear figure said. "Don't worry. This time, they won't be able to escape even if they grow wings. I won't go back on my words." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.